Tonight on CTV News at 6. It's a difficult time.
She was very involved in her community in Cape Breton, in her church.
A Greater Sudbury family is remembering the victim of a head-on collision. It's under a state of emergency. Leadership in Kashechewan is searching for answers from senior levels of government after infrastructure failed. And carrying on the family tradition.
We've hired them out of our special constable pool because they already can hit their ground running.
The North Bay Police Service welcomes 2 new officers.
CTV News at 6 with Tony Ryma and Rick Wyman with weather.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us on this Monday. A weapons complaint in Timmins led police to a large drug bust yesterday. Police were called to a residence on Dwyer Street where a search of the property led police to more than 600 grams of illicit drugs, including a large quantity of crystal meth, a loaded gun, a conducted energy weapon, and more than $25,000 in cash were also seized. A 35-year-old woman has been charged with 20 criminal offenses. Now to Sault Ste. Marie, where a murder trial that began last week resumed today. CTV's Corey Nordstrom will have that story in just a few minutes. And speaking of Sault Ste. Marie, more than $80,000 in drugs and cash were seized. Last Friday, police executed a warrant at a residence on Anna Street, where they found more than $76,000 in drugs, including nearly 450 grams of fentanyl. Officers also seized $5,000 in cash, drug paraphernalia, and a loaded gun and ammunition. 5 people have been charged, 3 from the Toronto area and 2 from Sault Ste. Marie. The leadership in Kashechewan First Nation says it's frustrated over the lack of response from the federal and provincial governments to the community's state of emergency. It's been 1 week since the community first put the measure in place after its water treatment system failed, sending sewage into homes and contaminated the water supply. Due to the public health concern, a full evacuation is now underway, with hundreds already flown to Timmins, Cap, Kingston, and Niagara Falls. Indigenous Services Canada says specialized technicians have installed replacement pumps at the lift station. Now water testing is underway. But a release from Kashechewan First Nation Chief and Council says the response does not meet the urgency of the situation in the community. The military is expected to arrive in a northern Manitoba First Nation today that's been evacuated due to power outages and water issues. 7 members of the Canadian Armed Forces are heading to PWHL Cree First Nation. A power outage earlier this month left many homes and buildings with frozen pipes, sewer backups, and electrical issues. The military will provide technical assistance, assessment, and support related to critical infrastructure and recovery. Around 4,000 people from the First Nation are still out of their homes. The family of one of the victims involved in last week's head-on collision in Greater Sudbury say they were already in crisis before the crash. With so many questions on how they will survive the loss, the community has rallied around the family. CTV's Lindsay Alick reports.
58-year-old Deborah Moxham of Cape Breton has been identified as one of the victims in the fatal Highway 144 crash that took place on January 6.
She was very involved in her community in Cape Breton, in her church, and there's a closet program out there. I'm not sure which one, but she was very involved in that, and she was the matriarch for her children.
She leaves behind 3 children, Donalda, Daniel, and Demara, who was with her in the crash.
It's really a crisis within a crisis, because this family was in a crisis before this accident. The 2 daughters both struggle with mental illness, and my sister was their support system, and now they're left with nobody to help them carry their burden.
She says Demara has already had 4 surgeries in Ottawa since the crash, as basically everything from the neck to the bottom of her spine is injured. Her brother Daniel and his wife are with her there and had to take time off work to do so.
My niece Donalda also depended on my sister. She is on ODSP, and her ODSP was based on what she was paying my sister to contribute to the household. And soon that will not be available for her, so she has to find housing. She has to find support. And there's a big road ahead for her as well.
Thankfully, Elizabeth says a family friend created a GoFundMe page to support the children left behind, as they are now orphans, having lost their father suddenly 6 years ago.
It's just overwhelming, the support. You forget what a community we have until you see how people rally. My nephew put it really poignantly on Saturday. He said, everybody says it takes a village. We have a city. We have a city behind these 3 children. And it's such a blessing, but also well needed.
The crowdfunding has raised over $26,000, and that doesn't account for the money that has been directly donated to the family. Meantime, the OPP say the investigation into the cause of the collision continues. Lindsay Alex, CTV News, Sudbury.
Let's go back to Sault Ste. Marie, where a murder trial that began last week resumed today. CTV's Corey Nordstrom has more.
The 6th day of the trial for Stephen Jones took place earlier today at the Sault Ste. Marie courthouse. It all stems from what police described as 2 random acts of violence that took place on September 7th, 2023. On that day, a stabbing took place on the Sault Ste. Marie boardwalk, leaving 1 man with serious injuries. That same day, and only a few blocks away, Sault police responded to a body found in a multi-unit residential building. The then 25-year-old Stephen Jones was captured at the scene of the stabbing, with police believing both acts of violence were committed by the Toronto native. Jones is being charged with the murder of 22-year-old Taylor Marshall and attempted murder of Liam Fournette. Today's examination consisted purely of forensics, with 3 Sault police members involved with forensics taking the stand, outlining in detail of what they saw at both crime scenes. The trial for Jones is expected to last upwards of 8 weeks. A total of over 40 witnesses could be called to the stand over that time. Corey Nordstrom, CTV News, Sault Ste. Marie.
All right, shifting gears, snow today, but that is going to give way to a rise in temperatures. Here's CTV's Rick Wyman with your weather details.
And more snow, Tony. We've got some snow for tomorrow, as you'll see momentarily with our forecast radar. And periods or the chance of snow off and on over the course of the week. We do have a day of sunshine, which we'll get into a little bit later on. Our systems map brought to you by CAA, of course. Take a look at the system that's going to affect us tomorrow in Greater Sudbury, about 5 centimeters during the day, a few more at night, and various areas, of course, in the Northeast will be affected by that, blast of winter. Here we go again. Snow Saturday, snow last night and overnight, and more snow coming up for tomorrow. So details with our currents and our 7-day forecast, pick of the day, and everything else, including the kitchen sink, all coming up. Tony?
Thanks, Rick. Strong Mayor power still to come on CTV News at 6. The head of Timmins City Council vetoes some amendments. Right now, we're going to head to downtown North Bay. There's a live webcam courtesy of that city. It's -2 Celsius and light snow. More news right after this commercial break.
Fridays with CTV and Pure Country. Enter online for a chance to win a $100 gas gift card. Fuel your Fridays. Powered by CAA. Life isn't one size fits all. Neither is CAA.
Timmins Mayor Michelle Boileau announced today she is exercising strong mayor powers to veto some amendments to the 2026 budget. The mayor says council's decision to set aside over $500,000 for pickleball courts at the McIntyre Community Center would be a duplication of spending. She adds it would not be mindful of rising costs and their impact on residents to include that item. The mayor has also vetoed council's resolution to spend around $140,000 to procure dark, rich organic soil for 7 baseball fields. Boileau says the city has sufficient quantities of the material to meet anticipated operational needs for 2026.
I used some of the same principles that applied to some of the other budget decisions that were made. We saw removing $500,000 that was originally proposed for the Action Sports Park development, the halving of what was proposed for the cricket pitch development, and so the idea of timing and project readiness, and if, again, without the defined scope, without being advanced in its planning, having secured funding sources, and given the current fiscal context, those were the principles that I used to evaluate the different capital projects.
It's probably one of the most inclusive sports out there in our community. And I think having courts in each area of the community is an important thing. And I think this would have, in addition to ensuring that we had that coverage across the community, would have provided a single facility that would allow for multiple courts and the hosting of tournaments in a competitive setting with the McIntyre complex to support that next door.
Boileau says the current budget allows for new pickleball courts at Leo Del Villano Park that will be constructed this summer. And she adds council is also committed to Northern College's sports dome development, which will also include pickleball courts. Council has 15 days to respond to the mayor's veto. The Go Give project is adjusting its operations in Sudbury following a successful fundraising campaign. While a new needle recovery program is underway, other outreach services remain on hold. That story from CTV's Amanda Hicks.
At the end of last year, the Go Give project was faced with a funding shortfall. At risk of discontinuing some of their programs, the not-for-profit turned to the community for help.
In those 2.5 weeks, we actually raised just a little over $33,000, which is just absolutely incredible. The community really pulled through.
The funds are being used to sustain frontline staff and allow for the continuation of its nighttime mobile outreach program. Additionally, Go Give says the City of Greater Sudbury contributed more than $48,000 to prevent disruptions at the warming center so that it can operate until the end of April. Go Give is also launching a 6-month pilot project for needle collection, transitioning the service to a peer-driven model.
Peers are typically those that we are serving in community, the people with lived experience, the experts, as I mentioned. So people accessing the services, have the priority to sign up for these programs.
Despite the donation, some services remain suspended. Both the Welcoming Streets program and daily outreach are currently on hold, which Ali says leaves a gap in essential services.
Our local business owners no longer have access to that service, which, provided support to them in order to deal with situations that might involve our marginalized community members. And then, of course, because of the loss of the daytime services, it's really reduced the number of treatment referrals we're able to do, the hospital care that we're able to provide.
Ali says she is hopeful those programs can be reinstated in the future with support from various levels of government. Amanda Hicks, CTV News, Sudbury.
The North Bay Police Service has been benefiting from its special constable program. Today, 2 new young recruits were sworn in as full-time police constables. That story from CTV's Eric Tashner.
I do so affirm.
Constable Samuel Murphy knew right from the get-go he wanted to be a police officer.
My mother and my stepfather were both police officers prior to this. My mother still has a photo of me. I was probably 3 years old here at the police station wearing this very hat.
Murphy was a special constable for 3.5 years. His colleague, Constable Christopher Lowry, was a special constable since 2024. Both finally took the oath, receiving their badge.
When I was in elementary school, there was the DARE program, so I got to know the constable that came to my school, and I always looked up to them.
The program is often credited with helping new police hopefuls adjust to daily officer life, teaching them some of the roles and responsibilities. Since Chief Daryl Longworth has been in charge of the North Bay Police, officer recruitment has heavily relied on the Special Constable program to fill the roster.
Probably 80 to 90% of our most recent recruits, if they don't come to us with experience from other police service, we've hired them out of our Special Constable pool because they already can hit their ground running.
So we do detainee transport, so we'll bring them to and from the courtroom, from the jail to the courthouse itself. We also do identification of detainees.
Special constables are sometimes required to serve court summons, subpoenas, and provide crowd control at crime scenes.
We're sending one more special constable off to police college. When she gets back here, we will be at 120, our full complement.
And for these 2 new recruits, they're eager to hop in their squad cars, hit the road, and start serving and protecting.
This is very big for me, and my family is very, very proud.
Eric Tashner, CTV News, North Bay.
We are grinding through winter, and the PUC is reminding customers there are financial assistance programs out there if you need help managing energy costs. January typically tends to be a cooler month, and some are starting to see holiday bills. It also comes at a time when 2026 could end up being a difficult economic year for the city of Sault Ste. Marie. Roughly 1,000 steelworkers are preparing for layoff notices this March.
Even if it wasn't the situation that we might be having this year in our community. We hope people take advantage of them. These programs are out there from the province, from local ones being controlled by Ontario Works or from the Ontario Electricity Rebate.
And customers are also being advised to reduce their energy costs through Save on Energy programs, which offer rebates and incentives in making upgrades more affordable. All of this fresh snow has led to an important message of safety from one snowmobile club in our region. Club Voyageur de Hearst has created 2 new powerful videos, one in English, one in French, to teach people the importance surrounding safety while on your machine. Done through the assistance of first responders, its creators are hopeful if this saves even one life, it'll all be worthwhile.
We wanted to start them young, to give them the right information, because there are a lot to know when you're riding the trails. Respect. Mostly we want kids to know the importance of them respecting the trails, because we are on private property.
According to the Ontario Federation of Snowmobile Clubs, snowmobiling-related economic activity generates $3 to $6 billion annually for the province. The videos are available now via YouTube, and you can find a link to them on our website, CTV News Northern Ontario.ca. Back now for a check on your current conditions. Here's Rick.
Tony, the sledders love this weather. They had a lot of snow on the weekend, and more to come. And of course, right across the Northeast, it's that time of the year. Forecast radar, this is what we've got going for tomorrow. More snow, and the sledders will like that. More snow right across the week, but of course we'll get to that a little bit later on in our 7-day forecast. Meanwhile, current temperatures, Moose-City -7, some light precipitation. Ditto for Cochrane -6, and Timmins at -6. Kapuskasing -6 as well. -3 at Chapleau, -1 in Wawa. Sault Ste. Marie at -5 this hour. In Parry Sound, -5, some light snow. Meanwhile, in North Bay, -8, Temiskaming Shores, -8, and Kirkland Lake, it looks weird, -1 right now, but that's according to Environment Canada. -7, Greater Sudbury, Espanola -5, Elliott Lake -4, and fog in Gore Bay at -5 as well. Back with your 7-day numbers coming up very shortly, and of course your pick of the day. Tony.
Thanks, Rick. Perception versus reality. Next on CTV News at 6. A new survey highlights how Canadians feel about crime in the country. And Prime Minister Carney is embarking on a visit to China to smooth over trade relations. The family of a Saskatchewan man who died while in hospital last week is speaking out after he was found dead following an altercation with a security guard. The family is demanding to know what happened.
We have to address the systemic racism that keeps happening to First Nations people. The worst case scenario happened to Trevor and his family. He lost his life.
Officials say Trevor Dubois was involved in a fight with security at the hospital, with reports there was a gun in Dubois' hospital room. Dubois' family says he was in hospital at the time, undergoing cancer treatment, and his death was preventable. A growing number of Canadians, 4 out of 5, say they've been scammed either online or by phone, adding to the widespread belief that crime is up across the country. But does the perception of increased criminal activity match the actual data? CTV's Adrian Gobriel digs into the stats.
From brazen smash-and-grab jewelry store robberies across the Greater Toronto Area to jarring shootings linked to South Asian organized crime in Surrey, BC, video of violent acts across the country are in part stoking fears and shaking the confidence of Canadians.
Exceedingly alarming videos of people breaking into jewelry stores with sledgehammers and liquor store grabs, etc. That fuels the fear in people. But the reality is, it's not as bad as they think.
These new numbers from Angus Reid are providing a fresh snapshot of public perceptions, with a growing number of people suggesting that crime has been increasing in their communities. Multiple major crime categories are down in some of Canada's largest cities. In Ottawa, both homicides and shootings have decreased year over year. 2025 marked the fewest homicides in Calgary in the last decade. Assaults and robberies were down in Vancouver last year when compared to 2024.
Perception versus reality are often two different things. But what's really important here is that people don't feel safe.
And what the latest data shows is that people feel they're at a higher risk of being on the receiving end of a violent crime. Those public feelings may have been formed over time, regardless of what year-end data actually shows. In 2022, auto thefts were at record highs. Home invasions linked to stolen cars led to one Toronto cop suggesting that residents leave their keys at their front door to avoid confrontations with intruders, further fanning the flames of fear.
Much of that based on very high-profile coverage of some very dynamic and exceedingly alarming videos.
Another concern raised publicly, repeat violent offenders. Last year, the federal government introduced legislation to tighten bail reforms. That bill is still making its way through Parliament. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Toronto.
Prime Minister Carney is set to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping this week. Trade talks will be high on the agenda as Mark Carney makes the first official trip to China by a Canadian Prime Minister in nearly a decade. China has slapped a 100% tariff on Canadian canola, a retaliatory move to Canada's 100% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles. Meanwhile, Canada's Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne is in Washington, D.C. today for a second day of meetings on trade and critical minerals. According to the Canadian government, he is meeting with G7 counterparts and other like-minded countries. The Finance Minister says Canada could help Europe move away from its dependence on China for critical minerals, and that it is time for Canada to move on the extraction and refining of critical minerals in this country. In October, Canada announced the first projects coming out of an alliance on the production of critical minerals that G7 countries launched in June at the G7 meetings in Alberta. And there's more news still ahead, but first, here's your full weather forecast with Rick.
There was a change, by the way, Tony, in that temperature for Kirkland Lake. It's not -1, it's actually -2. I just checked again. Forecast radar, here we go with some snow in the forecast coming up for tomorrow. You'll see the numbers momentarily. So we've got a system moving in. Then for the rest of the week, some colder temperatures, chance of snow. Periods of snow, and a little bit of everything, to say the least, after what we went through last week with just lots of flurry activity. Overnight to Greater Sudbury, Sault Ste. Marie, Timmins, Temiskaming Shores, North Bay, chance of flurries at about 40%, varying temperatures. How about Moosonee this hour? Okay, we can actually tell you that it's going to drop down to -13, chance of flurries, more of the same. Caphurst, Wawa, chance of flurries, Gore Bay, chance of flurries, and Parry Sound, there you go, 2 to 4 centimeters overnight in your forecast. Sudbury Nickel Belt, we've got 5 centimeters of snow tomorrow, a few more by tomorrow evening as well. Wednesday, periods of snow, then cooling off. Thursday, getting cold, sunshine -16, periods of snow Friday, chance of snow Saturday, and more of the same Sunday, both days at 60%, which is a pretty good bet. Sault Ste. Marie Algoma, 5 to 10 centimeters of snow, a few more centimeters tomorrow evening. Wednesday, chance of snow 60%. Thursday, sunny and cold, -11, periods of snow Friday, -6, chance of snow Saturday and Sunday, -8 and -11. How about Timmins, Cochrane, Kapuskasing? Tomorrow, 2 to 4 centimeters and more snow tomorrow evening. High of 0, -19. Big turnaround there Wednesday. Chance of snow Thursday, -17, sunny but cold. Friday, chance of snow -12. Chance of flurries Saturday. More of the same on Sunday, -15 and -19 degrees. Wow. Temiskaming Shores, Kirkland Lake, snow tomorrow, 2 to 4 centimeters, more tomorrow evening. Wednesday, periods of snow. Thursday, sunny and cold, -17. Chance of snow Friday, -7. Chance of snow Saturday, -10. And chance of flurries on Sunday, maybe the odd sunny break at -15. And North Bay, West Nipissing, snow tomorrow, 2 to 4 centimeters, more tomorrow evening, high of -1. Periods of snow on Wednesday, -9, -18, loads of sunshine, but that's pretty well a copy and paste day. Right across the Northeast, we'll have some sunshine, but some colder temperatures. Friday, periods of snow, -9, more of the same on Saturday with a chance of snow, and chance of snow on Sunday, 60% at -13. Have you had enough snow, to say the least, in your forecast? Let's take a look at our pick of the day. Cindy Lou Heppenstall Brooks. North Bay, Lake Nipissing Sunday. This was last night. And again, you can see the setting sun. A great winter shot there. You can see one or two ice huts as well. But Cindy Lou, thank you so much for that. Perhaps your pick could be on tomorrow. But first, got to remind you, it's Alzheimer's Awareness Month. We learn more from CTV's Madison Merrier coming up.
Many credit card bills are now coming in following the holiday shopping season, and they're arriving at a time when many Canadians are anxious about the economy. A new survey finds many consumers feel the year ahead will be challenging when it comes to paying bills and keeping up with household expenses. CTV's Pat Foran has details.
If you're feeling stressed about your finances, you're not alone. Many people are concerned about the rising cost of living heading into the new year.
The salary is not sufficient to cover the basic necessity now.
I'm barely paycheck to paycheck for years. Not a good place to be, but I think it's pretty common.
According to the MNP Canadian Consumer Debt Survey, 71% expect the cost of living to worsen, 59% believe the overall economy will worsen, and 51% believe Canada's relationship with the U.S. will also get worse.
There's a lot of negativity and pessimism out there.
Whether it's paying your rent or mortgage, shopping for a new car, or buying groceries, the year ahead brings with it mounting financial challenges. For many, it's not one part of the economy, it's all of it.
Whether it's interest and inflation, housing, job market, overall economy, the cost of goods.
The Credit Counseling Society says one area of growing concern is consumers using credit cards to buy groceries and pay their monthly bills.
We're seeing more and more people that are using their credit to cover off those little necessities in life. And the problem is that's a bad cycle to be in. At some point, you run out of credit, you don't have cash. What do you do?
The survey also found 59% believe housing affordability will deteriorate, and 62% are concerned about rising poverty and inequality. Younger Canadians are feeling the most financial pressure.
Many of them have just left school. They have this large student loan debt. They've accumulated credit card debt. They're looking at the cost of housing as they start their financial journey into adulthood, and they do feel stuck.
Anyone having trouble paying their bills and getting further into debt is advised to get help. Credit counseling with a debt professional is free, confidential, and can let you know your options before your situation gets worse. Pat Foran, CTV News.
Medical tourism is a $100 billion industry worldwide, and increasingly Canadians seeking to reduce wait times and costs are jumping on the bandwagon. But what happens when things don't go smoothly? Tonight, in part one of a three-part series, health reporter Pauline Chan looks at how one woman's desire for a cosmetic change left her fighting for her life in a foreign country.
She was a 52-year-old business owner and mother of 4 who also had abdominal surgery to remove a massive tumor.
My dream was to have a mummy makeover.
A tummy tuck and breast lift. But after her medical excursion to Costa Rica last fall, Nicole Grigorov is facing a very different future from what she expected for the new year.
So I have to learn how to walk. I had to learn how to use my arms. I have to learn how to do everything.
Sepsis resulted in the loss of her fingers and toes, but Nicole was just one of the thousands of Canadians who went overseas last year for medical or cosmetic surgery. The U.S.-based Medical Tourism Association says there's been a 40% jump last year in Canadians going abroad for anything from faster hip replacements to nose jobs.
It's estimated that it's 432,000. And that's, data we have from hospitals, governments in some of the destination countries.
I just went online and did a ton of research. So I interviewed some doctors in Canada. Canada wasn't out of the question.
But in the end, she chose a clinic in Costa Rica.
The main driving factor is the cost. The cost of care in those countries is considerably lower. The overhead expense, the time in an operating room, the medications cost less there.
The cost for Costa Rica, about $20,000 plus flights.
So in Canada, it would have probably been 25% more.
But Nicole doesn't recall waking up at the clinic where her surgery was done.
Nicole Grigorov spent some 3 weeks in a coma in Costa Rica. Her organs shut down, and when she finally awoke, her next challenge was trying to get back to Canada.
Close friend Rod Ponkin stepped in with $85,000 for an air ambulance, and that wasn't the only hurdle.
There's a lot of moving parts because the air ambulance
the doctor and their team had to correspond with Niagara doctors, and they had to consult.
It was a 2-week wait to secure a hospital bed, with Nicole paying for each day in the Costa Rican hospital. She arrived in Niagara just before Halloween, and a couple of weeks later, she had to have all her fingers and toes amputated.
I just want my life back. I want peace in my life.
In our next report, we hear from medical experts
and switch
about how medical tourism is a growing industry and what to be aware of. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
The Timmins and District Hospital Foundation got cash for Christmas and today telling folks how it plans to spend it. The Timmins and District Hospital Auxiliary raised $105,000 for the foundation before Christmas. The money will be used to purchase essential medical equipment like sterilizer and surgical instrument cleaners, among other items. Almost half of the money will be set aside to support the purchase of an MRI machine. Sudbury and North Bay are just a few of the northern cities and towns that have proclaimed January as Alzheimer's Awareness Month. CTV's Madison Merrier has that story.
The Alzheimer's Society of Canada reported 46% of people are unsure where to find help or information, which is why they began the Forget Me Not wearable flower campaign.
The important thing to note is that people aren't alone, and actually the slogan for this year is Forget No One. So again, it's a visible way to show your support for the community.
According to the Alzheimer's Society of Canada, 53% of Canadians are worried about developing dementia.
The thing is with dementia, it is a crisis. It is increasing year by year. Our population is aging. The projected numbers are high in any of the research that's being done out there for diagnoses. What people need to remember is they really don't need to do this alone.
The society said that 24% of people don't want to know if they have dementia. However, ignoring the signs and symptoms can lead to long-term negative health impacts.
There's still such a stigma attached with it, and that's in part a misunderstanding about what supports are out there for people.
We want to keep people healthy and connected, and the biggest risk factors actually for Alzheimer's disease and dementia is loneliness and age. We can't do anything about age, but we sure can connect people in community.
During the month of January, many flag ceremonies will take place in communities across the north to help raise awareness for dementia, Alzheimer's, and the available supports. Madison Merrier, CTV News, Sudbury.
In Montreal, dozens of photographers and birders have been showing up for days. A rare European robin has been spotted on this side of the Atlantic, and it's becoming a celebrity. CTV's Christine Long has more.
January 7th, Sabrina Jacob was putting out her garbage when she saw a rare bird.
I watch birds, so I was like, I don't know this sound. So I just look up and I was like, well, I don't know this bird either. He came straight up in front of me for 2 seconds. I took the video.
As her video shows, it's a hardy little bird who usually lives in Europe, even as far north as Scandinavia.
I saw him every day since. I have beautiful pictures, yeah.
When she shared her videos of the bird, people started flocking for a glimpse of this European robin on this side of the Atlantic.
It's nice to see the bird. We love the bird, but it's not like a chase for us. It's more like spending time with the bird.
Fruit trees and green space in the area east of Dixon mean Laurie Bellardine and other photographers have been able to take pictures every day, but it's a waiting game.
Waiting, and we'll hope to see if he shows up or not.
It just comes out like for 10 or 15 minutes at a time. So if you're not there at the right time, then you miss it.
How did this robin come here? Bird behaviorist Joël Coutu wonders if proximity to the port isn't a coincidence.
So it's possible that he hitched a ride and crossed the Atlantic Ocean. Other possibilities is the weather conditions as well. Lately in Europe, we've had these cold fronts, and Paris has had snow, and so it's possible these northern winds sort of pushed him here. I doubt he was carried in a luggage in a plane and released here, and it's possible he's been here for a while. So he could have been here for weeks or months, and maybe he did come during migration in the fall.
Some birders said they never thought they would see a European robin.
C'est comme prendre 5 cafés en même temps.
It's like having 5 coffees all at once, says this birder. and he's in good company here.
It wasn't even on the list. It wasn't within the realm of a possibility.
And you're looking for something that you might never see again.
During dark January days, Jacob's discovery has brought a lot of joy to this neighborhood.
Love, he makes it through the winter and he stays with us with the spring. I would love to.
Christine Long, CTV News.
In sports, they are off to National Curling Championships. Next on CTV News at 6. Northern Ontario men's and women's teams are crowned in North Bay over the weekend.
Clothing consideration provided by
Fashion Fair. Beautiful clothing for today's woman, where quality makes the difference.
The Northern Provincial Curling Championships wrapped up over the weekend in North Bay. The women's final featured rival teams from Thunder Bay. Robin Despins of Fort William versus Krista Scharf of Thunder Bay. Team Scharf was leading going into the 10th end.
Here comes her shot. Robin Despins. Well, she gets the double, but she rolls out. And that's it.
Team Despins makes a great shot, but without hammer, they are unable to even the score. Scharf wins her 13th berth to the Scotties in Mississauga later this month. By the way, Scharf's second is Kendra Lilly of Sudbury. It was a closer game on the men's side. Defending champion John Epping was leading by 1 going into the 10th. He attempts raise double to secure another championship.
Oh, we didn't get it. Wow.
Sandy McEwen from Sudbury draws into the house to score 2 for the rink's first Northern title. McEwen and his team now head to St. John's, Newfoundland for the Brier next month. It's time now for our weekend wrap-up in the OHL. The North Bay Battalion had a strong showing Friday night in Brampton, scoring 4 goals in the first period. The troops win 5-1 over the Steelheads. The Sioux Greyhounds would also pick up a win Friday. The league-leading Ottawa 67s having a hard time in the north, dropping this one 2-1 to the Hounds. The Sudbury Wolves not as lucky Friday night, falling 4-2 to the Niagara Ice Dogs. Niagara would bite off more than they could chew in the Sioux Saturday night, getting shut out 5-0. New acquisition Carter George gets first star for his performance between the pipes. And the 67s finally catching a break on their northern road swing, but they had to fight for it. They pick up 2 points in a 6-4 victory against the Sudbury Wolves. In the NOJHL, despite big wins over the weekend for the Timmins Rock, they still sit a pair of points behind the Greater Sudbury Cubs, Powassan, Espanola, and the Sioux Thunderbirds in a fight for home ice advantage with playoffs just 8 weeks away. There's still a lot of hockey and a lot of room left for teams in the bottom half of the standings to make the playoffs. The top 8 teams will move on when the regular season wraps up March 15th. Skate Canada and the Canadian Olympic Committee have announced the roster of Team Canada figure skaters that will compete in the upcoming Winter Games. 7 athletes are returning to the Games, including ice dancers Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier, who are making their 3rd Olympic appearance together after competing in Pyeongchang and Beijing. 5 Canadians are making their Olympic debuts, including pair skaters Diana Stellato-Dudek and Maxime Deschamps, and men's singles skater Stephen Gogolov. The Milan Cortina Olympics get underway February 6th. The PWHL played a pair of takeover tour games this weekend in Quebec City and Halifax. Both cities are hoping they could be home to the league's next Canadian expansion team. CTV's Callum Smith has more on why Halifax wants to be that city.
Drills out a score against Franco. Scores again.
For the second game in 1 month, PWHL teams went to a shootout Sunday to decide a winner in Halifax. Today, supporters from across the Maritimes took in Boston's morning practice to see the Stars once more and show their support for a franchise here.
We hope Halifax gets a team because we travel over from PEI all the time. I do think there's a chance to expand more.
It was a sold-out Sunday crowd, just like December's game, putting the city on the league's radar.
We have 16 games, and there are some cities like Halifax that we are coming to more than once. So I believe we have 11 different markets in North America, and we're looking at all of those as potential areas that would make sense for the PWHL.
All begging the question, could Halifax score its own franchise? Events East, that runs Scotiabank Centre, would be the one to submit an expansion bid.
We feel very confident in Halifax and Nova Scotia's capabilities to meet the requirements of the league.
The airport says it's well equipped to handle flights to support a professional team, and Discover Halifax says hotel space wouldn't be a problem either.
When you get into those seasons, in the shoulder season and into the winter season, there's lots of availability, and it's easy to find accommodations.
The thought isn't slipping the mind of politicians.
I think we showed the PWHL that Halifax is a fantastic city to consider expansion into. I think it's worth a good solid pitch to them.
Even the Prime Minister's wife hopeful for what could come.
I think it's high time for a PWHL team this side of the country.
Leaving fans here hoping the second stop in Halifax is far from the last. Callum Smith, CTV News, Halifax.
This year's entertainment award season has kicked off with the 83rd annual Golden Globe Awards. David Daniel has a look at the evening's highlights.
Adolescence dominated the TV side of the 83rd Golden Globes. The psychological drama won a trio of acting honors and Best Limited Series, Anthology, or Made-for-TV Movie.
Removing hate is our generation's responsibility. It requires thought from the top down. The possibility seems remote right now, but hope is a beautiful thing.
I've been very blessed in my life. I was raised in a family that put a high priority on art and on curiosity and on service.
Noah Wiley won for The Pit, which also took Best TV Drama. Seth Rogen accepted an acting award and Best TV Comedy for The Studio, and Jean Smart won her third Golden Globe for Hacks.
I'm one of the luckiest people in this, not this room, this entire business, and it does not go unappreciated.
Also grateful, Pluribus star Ray Seahorn, Best Female Actor in a TV Drama.
I'm still so grateful that I get to do this for a living, and this is incredible icing on that cake. Thanks.
And Timothy Chalamet, Best Male Actor in a Movie, Musical, or Comedy for Marty Supreme.
Always be grateful for what you have. It's allowed me to leave this ceremony in the past empty-handed, my head held high, grateful just to be here. But I'd be lying if I didn't say those moments didn't make this moment that much sweeter. For my parents, for my partner, I love you. Thank you so much.
One battle after another.
The big film winner was One Battle After Another, with 4 awards, 3 for writer-director Paul Thomas Anderson.
You guys are being so generous with this affection for me and this film, and I'll take it.
Hamnet.
And motion picture drama went to Chloe Zhao's Hamnet, whose lead, Jessie Buckley, was also honored.
The most important thing of being an artist is learning to be vulnerable enough to allow ourselves to be seen.
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Swiss mining company Glencore, with operations in Northern Ontario, announced last week it's in talks to be acquired by Rio Tinto. The discussions are preliminary and are about a combination of some or all of the businesses, including possible share mergers between the two international mining giants. Glencore saying in a statement Thursday there is no certainty a deal will be reached. Either way, stocks for the Swiss mining company went up 6% at the end of last week. This is not the first time the two companies have talked. Glencore approached Rio Tinto in 2024 about combining copper production, but the discussion was short-lived. Markets shrugged off the investigation of the chair of the U.S. Federal Reserve, with the S&P 500 ending the day with a record high. BNN Bloomberg's Marella Fernandez has more on that.
Federal prosecutors are looking at whether Jerome Powell lied to Congress about a renovation of the central bank's headquarters. But the chair says this is really about the independence of his office, which he says faces threats and ongoing pressure. The chair has been a target of the U.S. president for the last year. Bank of Canada Governor Tiff Macklem is offering his full support to Powell. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 72.06. West Texas Intermediate is up to 59.32. Western Canadian Select up $1.44 to 44.10. And the TSX gained 261 points today for yet another record close. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marella Fernandez.
And here are the current prices for some key commodities we watch. Gold up $88.31, closing the day at $45.9745 US an ounce. Silver up $5.26 to end the day at $85.16. Copper down 2 cents and nickel down 11 cents, ending the day at $8.23 US a pound. And Rick is back now for one last look at your Tuesday weather.
I want to say hi to my friend, newfound friend, Roberta. She has a broken wrist. So, Roberta, you take care of yourself and look after that wrist. A pleasure to autograph your cast on the weekend. Let's take a look at some of our temperatures. 0 in Greater Sudbury tomorrow, 5 centimeters of snow. Timmins, we've got 2 to 4 centimeters. 2 degrees in the Soo, 5 to 10 centimeters in the Soo. North Bay, -1, 5 centimeters. Perry Sound, 5 centimeters of snow. And Temiskaming Shores, Tony, snow 2 to 4 centimeters. It's going to be one of those weird weeks with snow on again, off again. Back to you.
Thanks, Rick. And finally, an unusual case of Bambi versus Goliath at a zoo in Poland. That little muntjac deer, weighing in at 17 kilograms, goes face to face with an Indian rhino, tipping the scales at nearly 1,700 kilos. In the end, it was the small deer who chased away the huge rhino. Zookeepers say it was all fun and games for the gentle giant, but the smaller animal's defense was sincere as it was protecting its mate. And folks, that's CTV News at 6. I'm Tony Ryma. Thanks for watching. More news comes your way at 11:30 with Ian Campbell. Good night.